This episode of the Sloopcast is brought to you by the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. The Mad
Canadian Barbecue Company.
Thank you. The Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. It's been a quick minute there. The Mad Canadian Barbecue Company is an Ohio-based company where they usually say our seasonings will take your barbecue from good to great. Great seasonings such as the Old Fashioned, which is currently sold out, but stay tuned. The Mad Canadian will get that back in stock too. But the Old Fashioned is a interesting mix where it has a sweet bourbony and the right kick of bitter type of seasoning. The other new one that the Mad Hatter has here is a salty citrus pepper blend called the Mad Hatter. It's a great finishing salt, or you can rim it on your favorite drink. The Mad Canadian says finish it on a Bloody Mary. It's a great seasoning to add along the many other seasonings that is on the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company's website. Be sure to check out all of them at themadcanadianbbq.com. Be sure to use the promo code SloopCast10, that's SloopCast10 at checkout for 10% off. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, where they have your butt covered.
This episode of the Sloopcast also brought to you by Wolf's Ridge Brewing. Wolf's Ridge Brewing has so many amazing beers for sale. I've been talking a lot about their new beers recently. I want to talk a bit about the Daybreak, which is their coffee cream ale. It's obviously coffee. It's obviously cream. It's light drinking. It's refreshing. A lot of times when you think of a coffee beer, a lot of times they're very thick stouts or porters. But no, this is an easy drinking ale. So if you like the flavor of coffee, but don't necessarily like the flavor of like a real thick stout, or maybe you just don't want to drink a thick stout in the summertime, the Daybreak is an amazing alternative to that. They also have the Pack IPA, which is one of their core beers. It's an IPA. It's very resiny. It's more on the resiny side than a lot of IPAs, making it a bit different in that marketplace. And then there's the Heartlandia, which is an easy drinking lager, purpose made for your get-togethers, especially like around sports or whatever. I hate that you guys are listening live. I'm going to be honest with you. It's really throwing me. Then there's the Heartlandia, which is an easy drinking lager. It's has Ohio hops, Ohio malts. It's Ohio proud. It is top to bottom Ohio love. All of this and more can be found at wolfsridgebrewing.com. That is wolfsridgebrewing.com. This is the part where we put the music in, but that happens in post. Are you guys missing the music? Hey, Austin can hear now.
Yeah.
That's funny. Thanks, Brawls. We've got barbecue back here. You're all invited. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing pretty well over here. How are you doing today, Jared?
Oh, a little thrown. We're trying some new things on the Sloopcast. We are live broadcasting our audio to the Discord. So the Sloopcats are listening in. Sean Brawley just reminded me to say with the Sloopcats. So we have some listener interaction, some live interaction with our listeners now. So we'll see how that goes. And we are recording video. I don't know what that means as far as if we'll be releasing the video. We're still like in experimental phases on that. I don't want to release it until it's good, because I have issues with perfectionism and insecurity and other things. So we're not going to be necessarily releasing the video right away. Maybe the recording goes well and maybe I figure out what I'm doing on an editing front. But either way, So things are a little bit different this episode.
All right, before we get into the main beef of our episode here, just a couple of news items that came up this week here. Probably the biggest one here, Jared, is a decommit.
Yes.
Of a highly touted cornerback, Jordan Hancock, decommits from Clemson, and all signs are pointing to...
Dog interruptions. Sorry, dog interrupted. It wasn't me.
Yep, you're all good. But all signs are showing that he'll arrive in Columbus.
Yeah. Jordan Hancock decommits from Clemson. If you are a member of the Buckeye Scoop, then you know that a lot of the insiders over there have been saying there's a lot of smoke. There's a lot of reason to believe that Ohio State is still in on Jordan Hancock. And man, they're smart. If you're not paying for that Buckeye Scoop membership yet, maybe consider doing it, because a lot of us saw this happening weeks out. But it became official, or at least, I mean, it's been reported anyway on Tuesday night that Jordan Hancock has in fact decommitted from Clemson. They've been saying it over on the Buckeye Scoop for weeks now, and I think we've repeated it at some point. But I'll go ahead and say it again anyway. The line with Jordan Hancock throughout all of this has been, if he decommits, he's going to come to Ohio State. If he decommits, he's going to come to Ohio State. So I have all of the hope in the world that, not even hope, confidence, forget hope. I have all the confidence in the world that Jordan Hancock will be joining Ohio State. And I kind of wanted to bring this up because, again, because things are weird. Kyle and I are, neither of us are available to record this weekend. So on top of the video stuff and the Discord stuff and all the other stuff, we're actually recording this pretty far in advance, several days in advance. So just putting this out there that by the time from right now, he has decommitted. And I just want to say, by the time this episode actually gets released, that I feel like there's a decent chance he will have committed by now. So hopefully that's the case. If not, I still feel like it's imminent, even if he doesn't commit by the time we release this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's right, Austin. This was Dabo's second decommit this offseason, and he's had 0 in his past years at Clemson too. So is there issues going on? I mean, we know of the comments he mentioned in the past and other stuff happening too.
Yeah, there have been controversies in Clemson land recently, and no matter how you feel about those, no matter how you feel about them, they're in the psyche of the players potentially. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. And of course, we're talking about teenagers, and we're talking about, I don't know how many commits Clemson has at this point. I'll make up a number, 16 commits at this point. They're all individuals. Some of them are probably just not. Coach Dabo's not like that. And some of the other ones might be bothered by all the controversy surrounding the university and Dabo right now. And I have no information to say that this is why Hancock decommitted from Clemson.
Well, let's not forget too, Jared, what you even said months ago. Expect a lot of decommits this year too. So is this
just generally across the country?
Yeah. Is this going to be a trend?
Yes.
Throughout other universities? Most likely, but we'll wait and see what happens here though.
Yeah. And as far as Foreman, to go back to what Austin said, when Foreman decommitted from Clemson, that was before the controversy started. You know, he doesn't have anyone decommit from Clemson since 2015, I think is the last time. And then just to this year. And right now we have to ask, is that a coincidence? And gonna say yes for now, because Foreman is like the number one player in the country, and he wanted to take some visits, and maybe USC. It's that happened before the controversy, and Jordan Hancock. I feel like Ohio State was always just like this close with him anyway. We're doing video. I can say this close to Jordan Hancock anyway. And had COVID not happened, he might not have committed to Clemson to begin with. So I right now, Austin, I'm going to say coincidence.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jared, anything else before we go into the main part of our episode?
Now let's go into the main part of the episode. So as I was saying, we're recording this many days in advance. So we wanted to do something that was a bit more evergreen, something that wouldn't be dated immediately if we talked about it several days in advance. So what we wanted to do, and this was big news a couple weeks ago, and we're doing it now because we're bad at our jobs. But what we're doing now is we're going to take a look at the BTN All-Decade team. Now, we are going to look at the BTN All-Decade team. That's something we're going to do. But what I'd really like to do is then create our own All-Decade team, but strictly with Ohio State players. So I think that I think we could pick apart the Big Ten All-Decade team, and we're kind of going to do that. It's not that we're not going to do that. We are going to do it, but I don't want to sit here and spend a lot of time arguing if Shaquan Barkley or Ezekiel Elliott should have made the All-Decade team, because I think it should have been Zeke. But maybe that's because I'm a homer and I could sit here and do that, and you guys would probably like it because you're probably all a bunch of homers too. So what am I gonna do? We're all just gonna sit around and agree with each other. So before we do our Ohio State All-Decade team, let's take a look at the All-Decade team per the Big Ten Network.
All right, and leading us off, the quarterback, JT Barrett, is made this list here, which, yeah, I guess I don't really know of another quarterback who, as far as stat-wise, who can really compete with him.
Brawley says he was the only quarterback to play the entire decade.
That is true. Yes.
He played the previous decade too.
Now we're getting into Aaron Kraft territory now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But JT Barrett, I think, won the Silver Football, the Big Ten Player of the Year award, at least twice.
Yeah, I believe twice.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. I don't know if I'm going to have him as Ohio State's, honestly. But we'll talk about that when we get to that section of the show.
Yep. All right. Running backs here. Probably the most controversy of all of the groups here. Saquon Barkley and Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, first off, neither of these selections are bad. No. I want to say that. Neither of these selections are bad. I think the question comes into play, well, what about Zeke?
Yep.
And I do believe Zeke made the second team, All-Decade team, but I don't care about the second team. We're talking about the first team.
Yes. It's hard because I think all three really do deserve to be on the first team, but obviously they only select two here. But if it was my decision, I'd probably go Jonathan Taylor and Zeke.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, we can line up the stats, but I think the stats don't line up favorably for Barkley. But I would also say that Barkley's addition to the team was more than his rushing. He was a very good receiver. He was very good on special teams, as Ohio State fans, I'm sure, remember. There are, I think, some egregious mistakes on this list. I don't think Barkley over Zeke, while I disagree with it, I don't think is an egregious miss.
No. All right. Wide receivers here. Big Ten Network has Penn State's Allen Robinson, Minnesota's Tyler Johnson, and Maryland's DJ Moore.
Real quick, Austin asks, does winning a natty not hold more weight? It's egregious to me because of that. I think this is an award for individuals. Winning a national championship is not an individual award, although you could certainly make the argument that he was the MVP for that run, the postseason run for Ohio State. I get what you're saying. And I think in a tiebreaker situation, which I think is what we're talking about, I think we should weigh in. So I think because of that, Austin, is why I picked Zeke over Barkley, because in a tiebreaker situation, I do think that matters.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Sorry. Back to the wide receivers. The wide receivers, I think, is a tough place for any of the Ohio State players, because Ohio State throughout the entire decade, essentially they use this deep wide receiver rotation, and that deep wide receiver rotation prevented Ohio State wide receivers from putting up a ton of stats. Yep. And because of that, and a lot of times these awards are very stat based, made it really hard for any of the Ohio State wide receivers to get on this list.
I agree. Probably the closest one I would think, probably either Samuel or Campbell, I would think, in terms of statistics. I
was thinking Hill.
Yes, and Hill. Yes.
I mean, we're talking statistics. I think Hill had the statistics.
You're right. Right.
Question for the Discord, if anyone wants to, any non-Buckeye who isn't Robinson or Johnson, who you think could have been here instead. So no Buckeyes, no Allen Robinson, no Tyler Johnson. Let me know if you guys have any ideas of who could have potentially been up there instead.
Mm-hmm. All right. While we're waiting for that, next one here, tight end, Jake Butt. That's a good decision. I think he probably deserves it. I can't really think of a good other tight end in college. I know that
I got to figure there's someone from Iowa.
Yeah.
Brawls says KJ Hamler.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
I think that's a good call.
That is.
I'm not going to disagree with the Jake, but and that's Jake. That wasn't me saying I'm not going to disagree with Jake, but I'm not going to disagree with Mr. Butt of Michigan. He is a Pickerington guy, so I'm certainly not going to. Pickerington's a Columbus suburb for anyone who doesn't know. So I'm not gonna rip this too bad, and I don't necessarily have a strong. The Big Ten is outside of Iowa is not necessarily like a tight end hotbed. So,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think my only issue, well, I don't even know if it's an issue because I don't know if it's a fair issue, is that Jake Butt did miss a lot of time with injury, which hurt his stat. Another wide receiver, by the way, that Brawley brings up is Devin Funches. I like Hamler more.
Yeah, I do too.
Austin says Chris Godwin also deserves a shout out.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and move on to the offensive line.
The slobs here. All right, we have Iowa's Brandon Scherf, Ohio State Pat Elflein, Wisconsin Kevin Zeitler, and Michigan Taylor Lewan. Thank you, Lewan. I don't know what I'm saying.
Come on, Kyle.
And as is tradition, and coming up with the center position is Michigan State's Jack Allen, which I will disagree with that one.
Yeah, you have any number of Ohio State centers who could have and should have. I mean, Jack Allen's good. I mean, he two-time Remington Trophy finalist, not winner, mm-hmm. Two-time Remington Trophy finalist. I mean, that's probably because Ohio State was winning all those Remington trophies.
Yeah. I mean, Taylor Decker.
Rawls says Taylor Decker got robbed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's hard to argue with Lawan as much as maybe we don't want to admit that because Michigan. I get that. Taylor Decker, I think, was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think probably should have been in over Sheriff.
Yeah, no, I agree, Austin. That's the first one that came to my mind was Billy Price.
Yeah. He said Billy effing Price. And just for the record, he actually did like F''N.
Yeah. All right. We'll get more into that when we do our Ohio State decade team.
Yeah.
All right. Defensive line. If it's anything other than Ohio State, I'm going to say no.
Well, as far as the defensive ends go,
both defensive ends are Ohio State, Joey Bosa and Chase Young.
There was a lot of conversation during the season last year. Is like Bosa or Young, who's the guys? Bosa or Young? Bosa or Young? And we all like Nick Bosa, but injuries and depth and other things. From a stats perspective, no one's questioning his talent or his skill or any of that. It's just that Young and Bosa put up, Young and Joey Bosa put up the stats, and Nick Bosa just didn't have the to.
Yep. I think they got it right there.
I agree. Brawley says that Young was better than both.
There's an argument for that. Yeah. I mean, just in 34 games that Young played, 30 and a half sacks. He almost averaged a sack per game.
Yeah. I cannot disagree with you, Sean. I can't disagree with you at all.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm co-signing it, but I'm certainly not going to disagree.
Yeah. And that's a good point too. Young broke the sack record with suspension.
Yeah. Sean's making some good points.
Yes. All right. And the defensive tackles, we have Devon Still from Penn State and Kawan Short from Purdue.
I like Devon Still a lot. I'm not going to disagree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Kawan Short, and I'm no disrespect to him. I think he's a great player. It's not my intent but I think at a certain point they're like, maybe we should get a Purdue guy on here. Like there's just the politics of it. Oh, Sean says that against Maryland, Chase Young could have had 3 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he definitely could have.
Defensive tackles. Yeah, I can't really disagree with those. Those are.
I'll disagree with Short. Still, absolutely. But Short, like I said, I think they're just really trying to get a Purdue player on here. Politics play in. Let's be honest. The politics play in, and you don't want to have the defense be nothing but Penn State, Ohio State, and Wisconsin players.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to. I mean, because if you did this list and you did this list right, if you were really truly trying to do this right,
mm-hmm.
it would probably be nothing but Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, Penn State. I mean, Desmond King, to scroll down a little bit, makes this list, and I'm not going to disagree with that. I think some Michigan State players we're going to see here in a second that didn't
mm-hmm.
deserve to be on the list. And
yep.
Yeah.
All right. Linebackers here. We got 4 of them here. We have Wisconsin's.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We got Wisconsin's Chris Borland, Iowa's Josie Jewell, Michigan's Devin Bush, and Michigan's Jabril Peppers.
They did linebacker / safety. So they basically just invented a spot for Peppers. And I am not happy about that. Because if you were going to invent a spot to put Peppers in, well, it's the hybrid role. Okay,
mm-hmm.
How many teams actually use the hybrid role? Ohio State kind of uses the hybrid role. Michigan uses it. You invented a spot on the freaking thing just to put Peppers in. And by the way, if you're going to do that, do it on the offense too. And let's put Curtis Samuel in the H-back position and get Curtis Samuel on this list. If we're just inventing positions, Peppers sucks. By the way, in the read-up, I copied and pasted this from, and I copied and pasted this from 24/7 Sports. They go to, for most of these, they give you like the career stat line. The career stat line, they never mention it for Peppers. Do you think that's by accident? Because I seem to remember if someone is a safety and they're the best safety / linebacker to play in the entire Big Ten for an entire decade, you'd think he'd have more than one interception.
Yeah, and Austin's right. And that was off of deflection.
Against Ohio State. But
yeah.
In a game they lost, in the game we won. Suck it, Michigan.
He's had 3 sacks and 1 tipped interception.
Yeah. They went to incredible lengths not to give his career stat line in this write-up.
Where is this guy, Jared? Right here. This guy right here.
Your camera's not nearly that good.
He wore number 5 and 1. Give me a quarterback / wide receiver position.
Oh, we're still doing slashes.
Give me the quarterback / wide receiver.
Okay, we're just going to do all the slashes now. Okay, so let's talk about the linebackers. I like Chris Borland. I like Chris Borland a lot. I'm not going to knock on that.
Mm-hmm.
Josie Jewell, I get it,
but man, he had almost 9 tackles per game.
Here's what I want to say about defensive stats. It is sometimes incredibly helpful, especially if you're at linebacker, when you're the only decent linebacker on the team because you're the one getting all the sack or all the tackles.
And if your offense sucks.
And if you're off. So I don't like, you can't just take stats and create them and treat them like a holy thing the way you can like for a running back or a quarterback. So he has good stats, but are you really going to take him over Ryan Shazier?
Mm-hmm. Ryan Shazier, I think, just got robbed.
Yeah, and I know Austin said that in the Discord, but I think we were all already thinking it, Austin. Shazier got robbed here.
Mm-hmm.
That is way more egregious to me than Zeke, but there's no chance in hell you can tell me Ryan Shazier was not one of the 3 best linebackers in all of college football, not just the Big Ten, in all of college football this last decade.
Yep. Agreed. All right. And we're going to our defensive backs. We have.
Okay. Timeout. Before you even start.
Yep.
How many corners did Ohio State send into the first half of the first round this decade?
A bajillion.
A bajillion. A bajillion. 2 bajillion. How many corners from Ohio State? There's only 2 spots. How many went to Ohio State corners?
The amount of wins that Jamie Harbs has against Ohio State as a head coach.
Yeah. You're going to tell me, and I like Desmond King. I like Desmond King a lot. I think he's very talented and very good.
It helps when you win. It helps when you win the Jim Thorpe Award.
Yeah. Nothing against him. Denard at Michigan State. Also, I don't know if he was the best Michigan State corner from this last decade, but there's no chance in hell. And we'll talk about who in the second segment of the show, but there's no chance in hell that Ohio State shouldn't have had both of these spots. Again, we'll talk about which 2 Buckeyes go in these spots a little bit later, but both of these spots should have been Buckeye players.
Yep.
No doubt in my mind. If we were actually doing this list right and it wasn't political and you weren't trying to throw Michigan State or Iowa a bone, these are both Ohio State players.
Yep.
Done.
And we'll name them all here when we do the Ohio State all-decade team here, Austin. All right. For the
he gave us the list.
I think that's almost all of them. I think there might have been a couple, but we'll get there.
He's missing a few, and I know because I created the list.
All right, safeties. We have Curtis Drummond from Michigan State.
Rawls says that Hyde or Lewis were also better than either of those two corners. And as far as Denard goes, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
And yeah, Austin agrees. Jordan Lewis was good.
Yep. Safeties, Michigan State, Curtis Drummond. And
Ohio State's guys were better, though.
And Ohio State, Malik Hooker.
Yeah, I once again, Ohio State did not. Can I do this? Does Malik Hooker deserve this spot? As great as he was for that one season, it was just one season. Can you be put on the all-decade team for one really good season? And by the way, it was an amazing season. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there, Sean. Wait for the second segment of the show. We're getting there, Sean. I don't think he is the best safety to come out of Ohio State this past decade.
And the last one here, and I'm surprised he got it here, Jared.
Me too.
With zero Coach of the Year awards.
Never won Coach of the Year.
The GOAT.
Urban Meyer. How do you not win Coach of the Year? This is crap. I'm throwing the list out. Urban Meyer didn't win Coach of the Year once, and now he's the best coach of the entire decade? That can't be right. Come on, guys. How can you be the best for the entire decade if you weren't the best for any one given season? It's almost like Ohio State coaches aren't eligible for that award. Oh, wait a minute. Did an Ohio State coach? No, I can't be remembering that right. Austin is picking up what we're putting down and said that Ferentz was robbed. Well, much like Dabo, there have been some controversies around that program lately. So we'll see if Ferentz makes it. If there's football this year, we'll see what Ferentz is doing.
Mm-hmm. Gotta be optimistic here, Jared.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Tell me what to do. You're not.
I'll tell you what to do, Jared.
Okay, tell me what to do.
I'm going to tell you, go on over to the Mad Canadian Barbecue site and pick up some seasonings here.
Like this one?
Like that one that Jared is showing in the video that only you and I can see right now.
Maybe I might edit this together and put it on YouTube.
All right.
Maybe. Depends upon how the stuff turns out.
Maybe. All right. The Mad Canadian Barbecue. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. We've been saying it for months. We are in the middle of summer right now. If you haven't grilled, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Get that grill out. Get some amazing seasonings over at the madcanadianbbq.com site. Get yourself some great seasonings such as the Brits Blend, the Cajun, Smoked Two-Border, the S&P Bud that Jared just showed, Carry Steak, Discord, Four Horsemen, and the two new ones here, Old Fashioned, once it becomes back in stock, and the Mad Hatter, plus much, much more at the madcanadianbbq.com. Make sure you use the promo code SloopCast10, that is SloopCast10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, where they have your butt and wings and legs, whatever you want covered.
All right. So right now, this episode of the Sloopcast is also brought to you by Wolf's Ridge Brewing. Since I'm showing things to the camera on a video that, it's right in the light. It's a Wolf's Ridge. Hey, there's the focus. This is and Zoom freaking reverses it, but it's the oak aged tiltback. It's a red lager aged in oak barrels. I love when beer is aged in an oak or a bourbon barrel. I'm drinking it right now. One of the benefits of doing this at night instead of the morning, which is what we typically do, is that I get to drink a beer while we record. And I'm telling you right now, this is the first one of these I've had. Again, this is the oak aged tiltback. It's a oak aged red ale from Wolf's Ridge Brewing, and it's amazing. It's really, really good. I'm not a huge red ale person. I like it like a red imperial, but a red ale is typically just okay for me. This is amazing. I love the hell out of this. I'm going to buy more of this. You can buy some for yourself either at a Columbus area beer retailer, or you can jump on wolfsridgebrewing.com, order a 6-pack. Are these a 6-pack? These might be a 4-pack. These are a 4-pack. You can buy a 4-pack of these. You can pick up a 6-pack of the smoked lager, which has the bacon and campfire taste notes in it, as well as a number of different IPAs and lagers, some summer beers, the High Banks, it has those pineapple notes in it, incredibly refreshing. Then there's the Citrus Surf, which is currently sold out. They'll make more, don't worry. They'll make some more of that Citrus Surf. Make sure to check that out when it comes back into play. And if you want to get a beer for someone who's maybe not much of a beer drinker, but would like something with a little bit more fruit, a little bit more sweetness to it, the Leisurely is a very fruit. If you're looking for a beer, it might not be exactly what you're looking for, but if you're looking for something very sweet and something that just sort of tastes fruity, then you can also check out the Leisurely 6-pack at wolfsridgebrewing.com. That is wolfsridgebrewing.com. All right, Kyle. We've done the Big Ten Network all-decade team. Now let's do our own Big Ten Network team. In our show notes, Kyle, and by the way, we're going to do this right. We are actually going to have an offense with 11 players and a defense with 11 players. No 2 running backs. What offense has 2 running backs? I feel like they could have avoided a little bit of that Zeke controversy if it would have been like just Taylor. Now, 1 running back. This is a modern offense, so we're going to go 3 wide receivers, 1 quarterback. We'll do 3 because Ohio State is always sort of like moving their centers and their guards around. We're just going to do 3 interior linemen that will be the centers and the guards. We'll do 1 tight end and 2 tackles. On the defense, we're doing a 4-3. So 2 DEs, 2 D tackles, 3 linebackers, 2 safeties, 2 corners.
But Jared.
Yeah.
What if I wanted to play the wing formation?
Nope.
Why not?
I've told you what we're doing.
I want the wing. I want the wing.
No, you don't.
The wing works.
No, it doesn't.
In my high school, it does. All right.
That's Georgia Tech, how it worked out for them.
All right. Quarterback, Jared. Quarterback. From our list here, we don't
have to read the entire list every time, but it is pretty obvious as far as quarterbacks go.
Is it? We have Braxton Miller, Dwayne Haskins, JTB, Cardale Jones, and Terrell Pryor.
I didn't put Justin Fields on the list. He
did not
play in 2019. I probably could have, maybe even should have, but I didn't. You can still pick him. You don't have to pick from this list. This is just to help us out. JT Barrett did it for such a long time. And I know that before I questioned whether you put Malik Hooker on there because he only did it for 1 year. So it might feel weird if I picked Dwayne Haskins. And I feel like Braxton Miller really helped bridge the gap. He was there for Ohio State when they needed a guy like him to sort of take control. I feel like JT Barrett was fantastic at winning games at a certain skill level. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when it came time to win playoff games, he wasn't quite there. I need a pro style quarterback personally. So despite what I just said about Malik Hooker, I am going to go Dwayne Haskins here.
I got to go with JT here as much as it really hurts me.
You love Braxton Miller.
Sorry, Braxton.
You have a straight up man crush on Braxton Miller.
Yeah, no, I agree, Austin. Braxton is the 12th man. Yes, Braxton is the 12th man. I got to go with JT. I mean, Dwayne Haskins had that one great year at Ohio State. But I just think what JT did for his 8 years that he was there at Ohio State, he did some amazing things, and we can rag on him.
That was very subtle.
We can rag on him about arm strength or not passing the ball with velocity, whatever the case may be. But JT putting the position he was in, the offense he ran that to near perfection. Like no one ran the option better than JT Barrett.
All right. So I'm going Haskins. You're going JT Barrett.
Yes.
All right. Running back. We're only picking one.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bunch of names listed here. I'm gonna give a shout out. Mike Weber, Carlos Hyde, Jordan Hall.
Yes.
So that's a shout out for those guys. But it's Zeke or Dobbins, right?
This is why I wanted to do the wing.
Wait till you see the list of wide receivers, though.
Oh. And that's why I wanted to do the wing. That way I could pick 2 wide receivers.
But it's a great list. Pick your running back. You got. Do you agree with me? Is the conversation strictly between Zeke and Dobbins?
Yes, agreed. Yes.
All right. Oh, do you have one you're picking?
It's tough. I mean, Zeke brought a lot, and everybody knows Zeke and how well he did, even when he didn't get the ball too. Like how great in pass protection he was too. But I mean, J.K. Dobbins, I mean, he's second all time in rushing yards at Ohio State, which has just historic with running backs.
He did it for longer because he contributed right away as a freshman. That certainly helps.
I did.
Which Zeke did not do. Austin and Sean having a conversation in Discord right now, essentially saying that Zeke was better at all of the other stuff that was not necessarily carrying the ball, which is accurate.
Yep.
And kind of what Austin was saying before that I was agreeing with him on, sort of goes back to, okay, if it's tied, a national championship kind of feels like a great tiebreaker.
Yeah. And ultimately, I'm going to pick Zeke.
All right. So we have different quarterbacks, but we both picked Zeke Elliott. Wide receivers, pick 3. We don't need the name. I put down quite a few in the notes here.
You have 11 here.
Yeah, and I left off like some solid names. Like I just stopped adding names at a certain point because I feel like I had all the good ones. Sean Brawley says Devin Smith, Michael Thomas, Paris Campbell. I mean, you're not wrong. You aren't wrong, Sean. I don't know that I agree with you, but you aren't wrong. I like Austin's a little bit more. Devin Smith, KJ Hill, Curtis Samuel. No one's going to disagree with what Michael Thomas is doing at the pro level, but he's a better pro than he was in college. And that's not to say he wasn't good in college, but I think if we put Michael Thomas in this list, I think we're allowing his pro performance to skew our actual memory of what he did in college. And again, I'm not saying he was bad. I'm just saying, I think Devin Smith, again, if we're talking about that march to the national championship, if we're going to give Zeke bonus for that, then you got to give Devin Smith bonus for that.
Yeah. And I could just hear our favorite announcer right now when he snagged those touchdowns against Wisconsin.
Yes.
So my list is exactly what Austin had. Samuel, Hill, and Smith.
I wish Terry McLaurin had been what he was as a senior, because I feel like Terry McLaurin made this huge jump from his junior year to his senior year. McLaurin, I think, is another guy who I think maybe people might look back, because I think he's going to do great stuff in the NFL. I feel like that might be another guy that people look back on maybe more favorite, because he didn't really break out at Ohio State until his senior year. KJ Hill has the records. Evan Spencer was also huge in the national championship run. I think I want a hybrid Sean and Austin's list. I'm gonna say Devin Smith, KJ Hill, and Paris Campbell.
I think, kind of sidetracking here with these wide receivers, I think no matter who you pick, whatever three from this list, it still does not match the top three wide receivers for the decade before. Decade before, you'd put
Kyle has a second all-decade team.
Yes. Ginn, Holmes, and Gonzalez, I think would be the three.
I don't know about Gonzalez. It's Holmes and it's Ginn. Michael Jenkins had all the records.
Yeah, there is Jenkins too. Yep.
Sean, in fact, just now says, or at least I just now saw, he says Michael Jenkins. I didn't prepare a list. I didn't prepare a list this time. I feel like there's someone obvious that we're missing, and I just can't place. I wasn't prepared for this. Gosh darn it, Kyle. And Gonzalez was good. I'm not saying otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Either way, got sidetracked. All right, let's get back to this decade here. Tight ends here.
Picking one. I think it's easy.
You think it's easy?
I think it's easy. There's one tight end who I like more than the rest. And Brawls says that Baugh is underrated. I agree with you, Marcus. Baugh is underrated. He made my list of people to pick from, but I'm not picking him.
Yeah, he's not the top three for me, but yeah, he makes the list of top four there, but not three for me.
I think there's a clear top two. Austin says Howerman, which I know I'm mispronouncing. Stoneburner, I think, was an amazing athlete, and I don't think it's his fault that he underachieved at Ohio State. I think that was everyone else's fault.
Yeah.
The entire offense and everything else around him.
But he gets props because he took up the number 5 jersey. So
sure. But we have not yet said the name of my pick for tight end.
For me, I would.
Rawls just said it.
I think for me it is Harmon. Now you got me. I can't say his name now. Jeff Harmon. Howerman. Thank you.
Yes, Austin. Seriously, Nick Vannett. Oh, not even in your top 3, Austin. You're not going to put Nick Vannett in your top 3.
Yeah,
get out of here.
Nick, Jeff, and Jake are top 3 easily for me.
Yeah, I like Marcus Baugh. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, Nick, Jeff, and Jake are definitely the top 3.
Yep.
Oh, man, they're both Sean and Austin are turning on me right now.
All right, next here.
Ruckert hasn't done anything yet, Austin. I want him to have done something, but outside of yes, he did. Yes, he did, Austin. Moving forward.
All right, moving forward. Interior lineman, Jared. Interior line.
This is tough. Oh, hold on. I know we said we weren't going to. I know I said we weren't going to do this, but I have to just read these names for the interior offensive line. Wyatt Davis, who actually made the Big Ten list. Pat Elflein, I think did he make the second team list? I think
Davis made the second team.
Yeah. Wyatt Davis, Pat Elflein, Billy Price, Mike Brewster, Jonah Jackson, Michael Jordan, Jacoby Bourne, Corey Linsley, and Andrew Norwell. Man, that's a hell of a list. I almost want to take Jonah. I want to discount Jonah Jackson. He was only here for his senior year. He's only in the program 1 year. So I think it's easy just to sort of remove him right away.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to go with Davis, Price, and Brewster. I feel like maybe he's just been gone for a little while, but Andrew Norwell was amazing. Yes. Yeah. I about said him. That's why I kind of hesitated for that last one.
I want to say Elflein, Price, and Norwell. But man, like if you said Wyatt Davis, Mike Brewster, Michael Jordan, Corey Linsley, I don't think you can go wrong with any of these.
Correct. All right. Tackles here, Jared.
Yeah.
We have Decker, Mahort, Prince, Jamarco Jones, Fragel, and Mike Adams.
This one's easier for me. I think there are 3 really, really good names and 2 great names. I think this one's easy. I think it's Deckert and Mewert. I think,
and it's kind of funny here from this list here, Jared. Yeah, you didn't even have. Did you have Pat on here? Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, never mind. Moving forward, I have Taylor Deckert was easy for me. Taylor Deckert.
Yeah,
and
that's your left tackle.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
Austin says Mewert was a guard in the but we're talking about what they did in the NFL is not relevant to this conversation.
Mm-hmm. It's tough. I'm
also still taking him at right tackle, Austin.
That's tough. I'm between Mewert.
Really?
And
to me, this is the easiest pick in the entire.
I'm probably going to go with Prince. Yeah.
Man, I had high hopes for Prince. I really don't think he lived up to it. I disagree. This is pretty hard.
All right.
Let's move on to the defense.
Well, who do you have?
Austin's. You're now the enemy in the Discord.
All right.
All right. Kyle, pick 2 defensive ends.
Well, who did you pick for tackles?
Oh no, Jack Mewert and Taylor Deckert.
Okay.
That's not a question to me.
All right. Defensive ends, 2 of them. I think
2 Bosa's, Chase Young, John Simon, Sam Hubbard, Tyquan Lewis, Jalen Holmes, and Cameron Hayward. That list is psychotic. And I hate that the obvious answer is also the right answer. It's Joey Bosa and Chase Young. But my God, Cameron Hayward, Tyquan Lewis, Sam Hubbard, John Simon.
How about this? I got Chase Young and Sam Hubbard at defensive ends and Bosa at defensive tackles.
You could maybe get away with that for the 3 tech. Brawls says that Hayward did better in the NFL. I disagree. He may not have been like an all-star pass rusher. Austin agrees with you, Kyle. He says, can I take 4 DEs and no defensive tackles? Hey, man, the defensive tackles, there's some studs on that list too.
Yeah. All right. That list here for defensive tackles.
But we're Joey Bosa and Chase Young. Yes, Big Ten Network got that one right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Defensive tackles here. Some good names here. Jonathan Hankins, Michael Bennett, Adolphus Washington, Devon Hamilton, Malik Harrison.
Whoa. Malik Harrison's a linebacker. That's a bad copy and paste on my part.
Jared.
Don't say it, guys. We already caught it.
Deshaun Cornell and Draymond Jones.
Yeah. Deshaun Cornell was a bit because he bounced back and forth a lot. I think any combination of Hankins, Bennett, Washington, Hamilton, Joe, I don't think there's a wrong answer here. Mm-hmm. I really don't. I kind of want to say Adolphus Washington and Jonathan Hankins, but if you want to pick 2 completely different names.
Yeah, those are my 2 as well. Hankins and Washington. I was between Hankins, Washington, and Bennett were kind of my 3 that first caught my eye, but I'll stick with what you said there, Jared.
Yeah. Brawls says Draymond and Hankins. Austin says Washington was good, but I'm taking Hankins and Bennett.
Okay.
You're not wrong, guys.
All right, linebackers here. We're going to add Malik. Oh, Malik Harrison is already on here.
Yeah, I pasted him twice because I'm stupid.
Okay. Linebackers, Shazier, Jerome Baker, Raekwon McMillan, Josh Perry, Darren Lee, Brian Rowley, and Malik Harrison.
Just roll.
I like Rowley.
Well, too bad. You aren't his dad, so you don't get to make that choice.
Okay. Shazier. We're going to go with Shazier.
Shazier, I think, is the obvious. Like, if you make this list and it doesn't have Ryan Shazier on it, you're wrong.
Mm-hmm. Shazier, Lee, and it's tough. I'm between Baker and McMillan. But
Austin and Sean. Austin says McMillan, Lee, Shazier. He does say Lee is debatable. Brawls, it says McMillan, Lee, and Shazier as well. Can't bother to consider Baker. Get out of here, Sean. I don't think I'm going to pick Jerome Baker. But he's absolutely in consideration.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
but Austin makes a good point. He, like Michael Thomas, is doing better in the NFL than maybe he actually was in college.
But I'll go with the Sloop Cats here. Shazier, Shazier, Lee, and McMillan.
I think that's the correct answer. Okay. I think you could absolutely make a case. Again, sort of don't let the NFL, Joshua Perry didn't necessarily do much in the NFL, but don't let that dissuade you thinking he wasn't great in college, because he was. Yep. Brian Roll, I think, might be just a tad bit outside of people's memory at this point. Brian Roll was really good, kind of ahead of his time. We talk a lot about how linebackers are what used to be safeties, and Brian Roll was one of the first guys doing that.
Yeah.
So was definitely ahead of his time.
All right, Jared.
But yeah, I really wish I could disagree just to be contrarian, but I think that's the top three.
Yep. Safeties: Malik Hooker, Von Bell, Jordan Fuller, and Tyvis Powell. Again,
we talked about it already during the Big Ten Network half of this show. Malik Hooker had one amazing year, but it was one amazing year.
Yep.
I think Von Bell is the absolute answer.
Yep. Bell was on my list.
And then we could have a really long conversation about Hooker versus Fuller.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. It's, if you want to go with just pure, just like amazing, like, oh wow, that one great year, definitely Hooker, but Fuller throughout an entire career.
Yeah.
It's tough. It really
sort of
is.
Yeah, one was spectacular for one season. The other one was a solid piece of the defense for several seasons. And like, how do you compare those two things? I think Von Bell is number one to me, period. Then you have 2A and 2B.
Yeah. So I think
Sean says, if you need to go strong safety, full safety, I'm just picking the two best safeties. I think that's just what we're doing here. I don't think there's a ton of difference in modern defenses between the strong safety and the full safety. Definitely not as much as it used to be.
Well, even look at some of the years Ohio State had too. The safeties alternate. Like when there's a guy going motion, they just pretty much just swapped positions there. So yeah, essentially. But yeah, I think I'll stick with Bell and Hooker still. It's tough for me not to say Fuller, but Bell and Hooker.
Yeah, I agree. I think it has to be Hooker. The one spectacular year was an amazing spectacular year. It's still Von. So just to go back to the Big Ten Network portion of it, I would still take Von Bell first.
Mm-hmm.
But Malik Hooker, I think, is a close second, just beating out Jordan Fuller.
I agree with Austin here. We can't let you get away, Jared, picking Haskins with the one great year, but then not taking Hooker.
Well, I was consistent. I did pick Hooker eventually.
All right, corners here. A lot of them here.
Sean says this list became illegitimate when I picked the net.
All right, Jared. Probably the toughest one here. The corners. You only get two.
Man.
Ward, Okudah, Chekwa, Roby, Arnett, Sheffield, Conley, Lattimore, Apple, and Grant. My goodness. Where do you start with this?
All right. Can I do the recruit thing and whittle down a giant list to a slightly less giant list? I'm gonna short list this to Ward, Okudah, Chekwa, Roby, Conley, Lattimore. So I knocked it down to 5. I'm gonna go Ward and Okudah. Man, Roby was real good.
I got Roby on my list here.
Yeah. So is Marshawn. This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible.
My two here. So Roby's on my list, and I'm between Ward and Lattimore. Then I think I'll go with Ward. I think I'll go with Roby and Ward.
I can't get away from Akuda.
I know this
is impossible.
Well, here's a question for you, Jared. Would you take out the two safeties and put two of these corners in for the safety?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so we're going 4 corners.
No. I'm keeping Von Bell in at safety.
Okay.
But we're going to go with a 3-corner look. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm going to go with Akuda and Roby.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels real dumb to leave Denzel Ward off the list.
Yeah.
And Garyon Conley off and Marshawn Lattimore off the list. This list is impossible, but we did it.
We kind of did it.
And Sean points out I didn't even put Sean Wade on the list, and I should have. I should have put Sean Wade on this list. Wade can be on the next decade.
All right.
On the tune in for season 15 of the Sloopcast, where we put Sean Wade on the next decade list.
All right, Jared, last one. Coaches.
Yeah. Durbin, shut up. What am I going to do? Put Luke Fickell on there? Ryan Day only did it for 1 year. I didn't put Hooker or Haskins on the list for one spectacular year.
Well, let's be fair here, Jared. Coach Day never lost in that decade.
Yeah, I guess is that true? When
true.
was the bowl game in 2020? I forget. When was that? I think it was played in the end of December, Kyle.
Was it? If so,
Discord, help us out. When was the bowl? Oh,
you
almost had it.
Almost.
Austin says he thinks it was the 27th.
28th.
28th.
Dang. I thought I had a good one there, but I failed.
It was close. It was real close, Kyle, but
it was.
You failed.
All right. That's it. That's it for our show here.
That is it for our show. We'll see how this goes. We have the audio, if nothing else. Austin and Sean. Sean wants us to do punter and kicker. Cameron Johnston, I'm going to go for punter.
Yep.
Kicker, can I just get a second punter? Yeah. Yes, Austin. Chrisman deserves a shout out, but yes, I'm going Cam Johnston first.
Yep.
But it's close. It's absolutely a conversation.
Mm-hmm. And Brawley asks for a returner.
No.
I didn't really have a good returner. If you're going to have one.
When was the last time Ohio State ran a kickback?
You want to know when? I know.
I think it's Ted Ginn.
Nope.
No.
Nope. It's something we always feared whenever he went back to catch the ball. Every single time.
You're either talking about Jalen Marshall or Andre Wilson. They both gave me absolute heart attacks. All right, so he's so returner Jalen Marshall. There you go. All right, Kyle. Now that's the end of the episode. Hopefully we get this video edited and up on YouTube, or maybe just up on YouTube, regardless of the edit. I don't know. I think we did a pretty decent job of just maybe rolling through it. And I don't know. Yeah, fuck it. I'll put it up. I don't care. Let's put it on YouTube. We'll do it live. Oh, Sean says it went well. Thank you, Sean. This was actually really stressful for me. I want you to know that. This kind of felt like doing it for the first time again. And I just realized that I accidentally quoted Madonna, and I apologize for that. But yeah, this felt very weird. Like I was legitimately nervous to do this. Like I haven't been for 5 years. No one's ever like listened in live before. I've never had a camera on me before. Well, I mean, I always have a camera on me, but typically it's just Kyle looking. So we'll see how this goes. And we'll probably just post it.
Well, you were talking about punt returns. It was Jalen Marshall, November 2014, when Jalen Marshall, he had like 3 or 4 touchdowns that game against Indiana.
Yeah. I remember that game now.
Yep, he had 4 second half touchdowns to come back from behind against Indiana.
Yeah, I remember that game now. One of them was return. That didn't he get the trifecta? Didn't he get a return, a rush, and a reception, or was one of them a throw?
He definitely got 2 receptions and a punt return. I can't remember the 4th one.
Austin says, didn't he do a jet?
He might have.
Well, because I think he had like 2 receptions, 1 kick return, and the 4th one was either like a pass or a run. So he scored 3 touchdowns in 3 different, or, he scored 4 touchdowns, but 3 of them in different manners, which I don't know how often someone hits that trifecta. Kyle's looking it up. While Kyle's looking it up, I'm going to tell you to, if you want to join Austin and Sean or any of our other Discord folk, you can do that by supporting us on Patreon. You get access for the Discord. Rawls tells us that Vinette never got the trifecta. He's not going to let that one go. You can join the Discord so you sign up on Patreon. You can support us for as little as $3 a month to become a member of the Discord. Mm-hmm. And you can chat with us live the same way Austin and Sean just did, or the way any of our other people could have had they bothered to show up, Sun Card. Mad Canadian. So where the hell were you guys at?
So going back here, Marshall had punt return, 1 catch, and 2 jet sweeps. It says 2 jet sweeps for TDs with passes that were glorified handoffs. A handoff.
Still a pass.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess technically it was 3 reception touchdowns and 1 punt then.
Man, if they just handed it to him. He's right there. Just hand it to him. Darn shovel pass. Urban Meyer and your shovel passes.
And that's crazy because I think those were his only 4 touches of the game too.
I'm going to do the spiel and I need you to find out if that fact is true.
Yep.
Yes, Sun Card. He's like he heard me. He goes, is the voice still on? Yeah, Sun Card, you missed it. It's over. Sun Card. All right. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook if you're bored. Don't follow. You can follow us on Facebook, but follow us on. Well, I think will we post this on our YouTube or on the? I don't know. Maybe we'll do both. Follow us on YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. That's what they all say on the YouTubes, right?
Make sure you ring the bell for notifications.
Ring that bell for notifications. one bell ring equals 1 prayer.
And I was wrong. He had 5 receptions, 3 touchdowns.
You're wrong again, Kyle.
Dang.
Jeez.
That was close.
All right. Follow us on all the things, yada, yada, yada. Teespring store, Patreon, yada, yada, yada. Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's corner?
A couple of things here. One, Buckeyes got some bling on Wednesday. Players got some golden pants and a Big Ten championship ring too. Future Big Ten all decade for 2020 for the Titans. Ruckert, I can't talk right now. Showed off some of his jewelry, so that looked really, really cool. The other thing that's going to be really interesting here, Jared, Virginia, the state of Virginia has ruled out football this fall. So what does that mean for
the ACC?
The ACC, but for the highly recruited 5-star running back,
for high school.
Trayvon Henderson.
You meant for high school?
Yes, high school. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That sucks. Are they talking about moving it to the spring, or did they outright cancel it?
I think they outright canceled it.
Yeah. I mean, he wouldn't have played in the spring anyway because he is dead set on early enrolling.
Yeah. It sucks.
Yeah, a lot of things suck in 2020 for sure. Mm-hmm. By the way, can I join Kyle's corner for a second? Maybe.
Are you sure? You didn't want to when I wasn't here a few weeks ago.
Yeah. I today took a virtual tour of the new Crew Stadium.
Oh, did you?
Yes, because I am a season ticket holder. Because we saved the Crew.
Saved the Crew.
Yes. So I got to take a virtual tour. I'm a season ticket holder for the Nordecke. There's a beer garden in the Nordecke now. A beer garden in the Nordecke. He asked me not to quote him, so I won't. But he told me how many local craft taps he's expecting to be in that beer garden. Again, I'm not. He asked me not to quote him on this, so I'm not going to. But I'll just say it was an impressive number of beer taps in that beer garden. I'll just say it's impressive. He asked me not to, but it's impressive, and I'm excited.
Awesome.
Sean asked, was there a video for the virtual tour, or was it just audio only? I think he's making fun of us.
He is.
Shut up, Sean.
On a sadder note, just because I watched him during college years, high school, and all that, Mythbuster Grant Imahara passed away.
Yeah,
that one hit me a little bit.
Yeah,
this week.
That, you know, he's on the younger side. He was late 40s.
Yeah, 49.
Yeah. Mythbusters was a mainstay of life for me for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one hurt.
That one did.
Died of a brain aneurysm, which is just scary because you're just healthy and then you're dead. Mm-hmm. It's just boom, lights out. And it could happen to literally anyone, no matter what you do with your diet, no matter what you do with your exercise. It's the brain equivalent of just getting hit by a freaking bus.
It is, yeah.
It's scary.
Oh, and the last thing here, Jalen Gill was granted permission to be able to play right away then for next year.
Yeah, it's amazing how that happens. Seems like every player who leaves Ohio State gets immediate eligibility. It's almost like the university helps them do it, because that's exactly what happens.
Yes. All right. That's all I got for today.
All right. Tonight's ending music, I'm going to go back to one of my favorites as sort of a way to tip off the new format of this show, assuming I actually do upload the video. Suncard says, wait, he can hear now. Great. There's literally like 30 seconds left, Suncard. Jeez, man.
Wait. Since he started, we got to start over. Anchors up. Sails at full.
Oh, you just made it worth it for him. Because you dropped the old anchors line. That's old school right there. Some of you know what we're talking about. All right, going back to the Well, one of my favorite local bands in the Columbus area, Playing to Vapors. They will be ending today's show. I think that's it. So with all of that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, this is Playing to Vapors. This is the part where I edit in the music in post. Leave some blank space. I'm not going to upload the music portion of it to YouTube because that gets you banned. Because they're very strict over on the YouTubes with the music. So if you want to hear the music, guys, you have to listen to the actual like podcast version. All of this gets edited out of the actual podcast version. Can't upload this part to YouTube. This is a peek behind the curtain. Just you and me, YouTube. And of course, Discord. Hi, Discord.
You missed it, Suncard. We already said this is the Friday's episode, just 2 days early.
Austin says, can we get some cordial sins for the next closing music? Absolutely, we can. But you might want to actually remind me of that because we won't actually make that recording for a long time.
Do a Ask Sloopcast. And we'll get it.
Yeah. Say edit that Discord chat and then just like add an Ask Sloopcast to it. So I'll actually find it next week.
Yes.
All right. This is all the part that we edit out, or at least edit out of the audio only version. Then I'm gonna launch into the next ad read, and 5, 4, 3, 1, and I messed it up. Once again, would like to thank Playing to Vapors for ending today's episode. And of course, I would like to thank Wolf's Ridge Brewing for sponsoring today's episode. Wolf's Ridge Brewing has been sponsoring our podcast for a few months now, and we are incredibly thankful. On their website, you have the option to do a build your own pack. You can buy as many individual cans, and I believe bottles as well, that you want. Just sort of piece it together. I think it's a tad more expensive than if you just did a regular 6-pack, but you get a better variety that way. I was telling you guys earlier, I'm drinking the oak aged tilt back tonight. Give that a second to focus for the lovely people in YouTube land. And yeah, it's the first one of those I've had, and it's fantastic. It's really, really good. I feel like a bourbon barrel beer. It's reminiscent of that. It's oaky like that is. I'm a big fan of it. I drank one live on the episode tonight, and I cannot recommend it more. I really liked it. You can find that beer and many other beers at wolfsridgebrewing.com. That is wolfsridgebrewing.com. This episode of the Sloopcast also sponsored to you by I almost said Wolf's Ridge Brewing again, by the Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. Kyle, I have my whole collection here on camera because I'm really good at being a spokesman. Yes. So for those of you in YouTube land, you can see my entire Mad Canadian collection back here. Maybe I can do a little bit more of a tilt. I have my entire collection back here, and I love every one of these. I use every one of these. I've paid for some of these. some of them he sent me. But I've straight up bought most of these. I would probably say most of these. I'm holding the S&P Bud. This and the Sonoran Heat, which I'm not seeing right away. These are your do-it-all spices. You cannot go wrong with either this or the Sonoran Heat. If you're like, I have this thing, I don't really know what to put on it. I'm not great at I don't know what I'm doing. S&P Bud's got your back. The Sonoran Heat's got your back. Those are some do-it-all fantastic spices. One of the new ones, the Mad Hatter, I found a great new use for the Mad Hatter today. I used it to spice up my hummus. I had some roasted red pepper hummus. I wanted it to be a bit spicier than it normally is. So I added some of that to it. And it was awesome. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. Get 10% off your entire order using the promo code SloopCast10. That is SloopCast10 at checkout. Mad Canadian Barbecue Company, where they have your butts